There was a time when Marley Prunty Laura involved herself in the normal day-to-day activities of a teenager. She spent time with friends, did very well in school, and was a star on the debate team. But out of the blue, this healthy teenager's life would change dramatically.
At first, we didn't know what was happening to me, and I would have these severe panic attacks where I would be really nauseous and I would be pale and, lose control of my thoughts, and I would shake, violently.
Marley's mom, Robin, recalls the difficult time Marley experienced.
She had physical problems, and we had all of those checked out. She was fine. Her grades were going down, and she basically missed a lot of school. And for her, that was a total change.
My first episode was an episode of depression. I went through feeling really low and fatigued and really empty. And depression isn't necessarily feeling sad, for me anyway. It's more of a feeling of just not feeling and a feeling of numbness. Went from that to feeling very manic and like I had all these things to do, and like there wasn't enough time in the day, and I would not sleep for 3 or 4 days at a time. And the need for help progressed when I wasn't able to go to school. I couldn't focus, was really failing at school.
So when Marley told me that, Mom, I'm a failure and I don't know why I'm living, that was the day that I started calling Bethesda and everywhere.
Finally, the answer came when doctors gave Marley their results.
I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 15 years old.
That's right.
When I was first diagnosed, it was really sort of a relief. Oh, there's a name for what I'm feeling. This is tangible, this is real.
No major change in your mood or anxiety levels since going up?
But I'm feeling more energy, which is good. So.
Good.
Dr. Paul Gluck is an obstetrician gynecologist who's been working for years on the issue of screening women for mental illness.
Bipolar disorder describes a condition where a woman has very highs, a lot of highs where they're just too gregarious and they overreact in a positive way that we would think is very happy, and then they have a lot of lows and they're just down, and they have very little time they spend sort of in the middle where you would say you're normal and interacting in an appropriate normal way.
Treating bipolar disorder includes a number of elements.
I take medication every day as part of my treatment, as well as going to talk therapy every other week. So I have a psychologist and a psychiatrist.
For Marley's family, worrying about the huge medical bills was an added burden.
Unfortunately, our insurance didn't cover that treatment. So my family was forced to take a second mortgage out on our home, which, luckily we were able to do, because a lot of families don't have that option.
This firsthand lesson in the cost of mental health coverage has stayed with Marley. Today, this 19-year-old has taken her experiences and turned them into her life's passion.
I know what it's like to struggle every day with the ravages of mental illness.
Her mission is to fight for mental illness health coverage for those who need it. Marley's ambition to achieve equality for people with mental illness eventually led her to Washington, D.C.
We have a moral obligation to our citizens. Really, this comes down to improving the lives of people and families and saving lives.
Marley is taking action to help pass a bill called Mental Illness Health Parity. It's a piece of legislation that's been debated for more than a decade. It would require health insurance companies to provide coverage for mental illness in the same way they cover physical illness. Ralph Ibsen represents the National Mental Health Association. This nonprofit believes insurance companies shouldn't discriminate between mental and physical illness.
The parity bill really represents a piece of civil rights legislation. It's a recognition that mental illness is no different than any other illness. In fact, mental illnesses and physical illnesses are closely intertwined.
Today, insurance companies are putting limits on mental health coverage in the form of the amount of days you can spend in the hospital, the amount of times you can visit a doctor. They're putting arbitrary limits on lifetime and annual benefits, and that's unfair. It's discrimination against a class of people.
But with mandatory requirements coming down from Washington, some groups oppose this bill and feel it will cause insurance rates to skyrocket. Neil Troutwine is with the National Association of Manufacturers. This organization represents manufacturing companies who say the bill would be bad for workers in the long run.
Well, we're worried about anything that increases the cost of coverage. Our understanding of the way benefits work is that you would lower health benefits to match mental health benefits, or you might lose benefits entirely. And that's really the danger, that you could crowd out other benefit coverages.
When I come to Washington, I go to different Senate and representative offices. I tell them what it's like to be a person who has bipolar disorder. And I know that the task may seem daunting at first, but if you start small and you do it one step at a time, the results can be, magnify.